One thing that I do have that a lot of Black Americans don't have is a sense of knowing where you come from.
Oh my God, this again? Like, this is a weird flex. It's in the name, Black Americans, African Americans. We are from America.
Well, African Americans have ancient ancestry and ancestry. Ancient ancestry has to do with our ancestors in Africa. Our ancestry has to do with our ancestors in America.
Most African Americans don't like to be called Africans. I tried to understand this in some of my studies, and I discovered that a lot of African Americans believe that Africa is a zoo. They believe that Africa is a forest.
African descendants and our African identity without trying to attach it to being Indian or indigenous to the Americas. Really sit down and ask yourself, why am I so afraid of being African?
We must educate ourselves to be strong together. If you are new to the channel, welcome back to the channel. If you are old to the channel, thank you so much for always sticking to epic it was. I appreciate you guys so much. If you've not subscribed to the channel, subscribe, be part of this amazing YouTube channel. In today's video, man, it's a whole lot, but your comment is really important so that we can able to educate ourselves. Let's go and watch this video together.
African Americans aren't necessarily ashamed of their African heritage. We just don't have access to it. We're not dogging our African origins just because we've had to learn how to be proud of our Black American current reality. But this is all we've had for half a millennia. We are not always accepted by the diaspora or our African cousins. We take pride in our culture that exists here and our ancestors that existed here in the last 400 to 600 years of history here. Damned if you do or damned if you don't. We can't just start repping African countries and customs, right? But then if we're too proud about our Black American heritage, we're ashamed of our African culture. No. Y'all know this. Y'all make jokes about this. So literally, what would you have us do? And I'm not really asking because this is what we're doing.
So exactly where are African Americans from? I've seen this question time and time again, floating around TikTok. So since I'm African American, I just thought maybe I'd answer it. So African Americans have ancient ancestry and ancestry. Ancient ancestry has to do with our ancestors in Africa. Our ancestry has to do with our ancestors in America. This is how I split it up to make it easier for people who are confused. So now to the question, where are you from? Well, the answer is the United States of America. This is obvious by our ethnic group, African American, or some say Black American. And because that's obvious, we'll normally say what state we're from. South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Alaska, California, New York, any one of the United States. Our forefathers run 500-600 years deep here. So those are our ancestors. Those are our forefathers. They're African American as well. So literally, that is where we're from. However, for those who want to know from where in Africa we have come from, there really isn't a one place. So the question is kind of not right. African Americans have a multi-ethnic background when it comes to our ancient ancestry, meaning there's not a one place in Africa that our ancient ancestors are from. They come from multiple places and multiple ethnic groups in Africa. During the transatlantic slave trade, all of the ethnic groups that were sold or stolen over to the Americas, and I'm just going to speak for the United States, all those ethnic groups saw each other as one. And for 500, 600 long years, we were one. And we are one. Our forefathers in America already knew this. They were all speaking different languages when they got here, but everyone learned the same language, English, and we all created our own culture here, and we became one. It wasn't multiple ethnicities. There was no tribalism. They knew they came from different places. So this explains our ancient ancestry. So when you meet an African American and you expect them to say, I come from this particular place in Africa, it's not quite that simple. We come from America, and our ancient ancestry is multi-ethnic, all across West Africa, even Central Africa, and some people even have some East African. Another thing, it's better to even ask, do you know which ethnic groups your ancient ancestors come from? It's not as correct to ask what place, because some of them places might not have even been places during the transatlantic slave trade. Now you get it?
One thing that I do have that a lot of Black Americans don't have is a sense of knowing where you come from.
Oh my God. This again? Like, this is a weird flex. It's in the name. Black Americans, African Americans. We are from America. The vast majority of us can trace our ancestors back 5-6 generations. I don't know how far y'all expect us to go back in order for us to be able to hold on to some level of identity, as if Black Americans have not created and cultivated an entire culture that is consisted of people, food, music, entertainment that has transformed the world and influenced not just Black people in the diaspora, but also people all over the world. This is not the flex y'all keep thinking it is. And it's just cringy at this point. Like, what?
Some of the same people that deny our ancestors' African heritage are the same folks that will get in your face and act like they're the next second coming of Malcolm X or Dr. John Henrik Clarke. And I'm here to tell you that you're not that guy. Dr. John Henrik Clarke repeatedly emphasized that Black Americans, people of African descent that were enslaved in the United States, are descendants of Africa, that we are essentially Africans. Malcolm X did the same and emphasized his love for Africa and the African continent. If you can't, on a basic level, acknowledge us as African descendants and our African identity without trying to attach it to being Indian or indigenous to the Americas, really sit down and ask yourself, why am I so afraid of being African?
Most African Americans don't like to be called Africans. I tried to understand this in some of my studies, and I discovered that a lot of African Americans believe that Africa is a zoo. They believe that Africa is a forest. In other words, there are no houses, no roads, and no buildings in Africa. I don't know where they get this information from. But you see, we are all blacks, and there's no need trying to separate an African from an African American.
That's why when I see all these American Africans with this whole I'm a Native American, again, just like with the Hebrew, you may have some Native American blood. My grandmother, her grandmother or great grandmother was Native American. And if you saw my grandmother, you could see it. You know what I mean? But that don't stop you from being African, because once again, you got 64 greats. Okay, so if you got 2 natives, you got a few Hebrews, you got a few Caucasians, most of them are still going to be African. So how y'all getting off talking about you never came from Africa and you look just like an African? The only people in the world who look like Africans are Africans, okay? But you got this, but here we go again, that self-hate. I don't want to be black, so let me try to call myself this, call myself that. I'm indigenous, I'm aboriginal. Well, first of all, both of those words came from white men. And neither word is older than the word Africa. So what are we talking about here? We always trying to run away from who we are. And my thing to people like the Honorable Marcus Garvey said, you can't name yourself out of oppression. You can't philosophize yourself out of oppression. You got to struggle and work your way out of oppression. They think if I call myself a Native American, your problems are going to be gone. No, they're not, because white folks know who you are. Everybody knows who you are but you.
You guys let me know what African American means to you, because I got a weird comment. All right, so I saw this comment yesterday. I don't know if you're being serious. I don't know if you're trolling. I don't know if you are just not familiar with what I'm talking about. But let's get into it. When I'm talking about African Americans, I'm talking about people that come from slaves in the United States. While we're still born in America and we're American citizens, our nationality is American. We ultimately do come from Africa, West Africa and Central Africa to be specific. At least those of us who we know come from the transatlantic slave trade. There are millions of black people, African Americans here in the United States who are descendants of slaves. That's who I'm referring to specifically when I said that. I don't know if you are a descendant of slaves. I don't know if your parents migrated from another African nation or something and you know your exact roots. African American here for descendants of slaves is just supposed to be pretty general. We don't know exactly which countries we come from. I did do an ancestry test myself, so I happen to know that I come from West Africa. And I can tie my roots to some of those countries there. I don't know specifically where I come from, but all I do know is that I come from slaves. And that is what I was talking about. I don't know if you come from slaves or what. But if you didn't come from slaves, then I wasn't talking to you in that last video. So you can go ahead and disregard it.
Let's educate ourselves together. We can. Together we move. Together We are the champions. You understand? Leave your comment in the comment section. Let's educate ourselves for a better future. Other Black American, um, African American, Africans, we are all one people. You understand? It's the fact that some people do not know where they come from, like their roots. That's why some people do their DNA test to see if they are from Ghana, for example, if they are from Nigeria, Congo, Benin, Kenya, Rwanda, and etc. So we are all one people. Leave your comment in the comment section so that we can be able to educate ourselves really well. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.